Welcome, YouTubers. This video explores Microsoft Office Forms in about 10 minutes. Forms is a versatile app within the Office 365 for Education platform. Forms allows you to create both surveys and quizzes. The video instruction that will follow will focus first on how to create a survey and then take that skill set and use it to create a quiz. Let's go ahead and learn a little bit more about Forms.
To access Microsoft Forms, you will need to navigate to the online Office 365 portal. To do so, you can go to login.microsoftonline.com. Once you are there, you can click on the Forms option and Forms will load. You can create either a new form or a new quiz. As indicated in the introduction, I'm going to focus on Forms first and then go back at the end of the video and talk a little bit about the quiz feature. So I'm going to create a new form. Once you have created a new form, one area you want to be aware of are the three dots on the right hand side, as there are a number of options there. The one that you really want to be aware of is settings. Once the settings menu loads, you can choose who can fill out the form and the options for responses. These may be options that you don't want to change right now, but they are very likely options that you will want to change before you have someone fill out this form. Once you've explored the settings, you may want to choose a theme for your form. To do so, click on the Theme tab, and there you can choose from a variety of colors or from cartoon options. I'm just going to select this snowboarder right now and choose that as my theme. Where it says Untitled Form, you can click right there and you can give your form a name. I'm just going to call this Example for Video. Once you've explored the themes, chosen a setting, and named your form, you are probably ready to add questions. To do so, you can click Add New, and you will notice there are four basic types of questions shown: a multiple choice, a text answer, a rating, a date. If you click the drop down, you also have the option of adding a ranking question, a Likert question, and a net promoter score. You also have the ability to add an additional section to the form. Creating a question and discussing each of the options that are available for that type of question is beyond the scope of this video. However, I am going to create a question of each type, and in the next section, I will elaborate on some of the features of that particular question type. Very shortly, we will explore all the type of questions that are available on a Microsoft Office form. Before we do that, I would like to show you a couple of things that are available for all of the questions. This option right here allows you to copy the question. The trash can allows you to delete the question. This allows you to move the question up or down as needed. The picture option allows you to insert media, so that if you click that, you can choose if you would like to insert an image or a video into your particular question that you are asking. Clicking back on the form will take you away from the insert media option. Many of the questions have the ability to add an option. Anytime you see the plus button, it allows you to add an option, a statement, or a rating. Now let's go ahead and take a look at each of the 7 types of question. As you can see, I now have a form that has one of each of the types of questions, and I will briefly explore each of those questions and provide a little bit of background about some of the features that are available for each option. Question number 1 is a multiple choice question. You can see that if I would like to add another option, I can do so by clicking here, or I can add another option where someone can type something other than the choices provided. I can allow for multiple answers by checking this button. I can make the question required by checking this button. If I hit the 3 dots, I can choose to shuffle the answers. I can provide the answers in a drop down as opposed to a button that the respondent clicks, or I can add a subtitle which provides instructions for this particular question. Question number 2 is a text response question where those answering will enter their text in this box right here. If I would like to provide a longer box for the respondents, I can check this option to provide the space for a longer answer. I can toggle this option on to make the question required. I can hit the 3 dots to add a subtitle, which is simply an instruction for this particular question, or I can add restrictions. Adding restrictions allow me to restrict the type of data that is input as an answer. I can restrict to numbers. I can restrict so that there are a minimum number of characters or a maximum number of characters. Those are all options that are available to you. If you don't want to turn on those restrictions and you have checked the button, you simply hit the 3 dots and then uncheck restrictions. Question number 3 is a rating question in which the respondent rates the number of stars that they prefer. I can choose the levels that are shown by clicking the drop down arrow. I can go anywhere from 2 to 10, and I can also choose to use a symbol or to use numbers. Again, I can make this question required by toggling on the option right here. I can hit the 3 dots and I can choose a subtitle or I can choose a label. So if I want to ensure that no one is confused, I can rate 1 star as a certain label and 5 stars as another label. Again, if I don't want that option, I can simply click the 3 dots and I can untoggle the label. Question number 4 is a date question, and the respondent will choose the calendar option and input the date in month, day, and year format. Again, I can make the question required by toggling on this option. I can hit the three dots, and the only option there is a subtitle. Question number 5 is a ranking question in which you type options and the respondent ranks them from least important to most important. Question number 6 is a Likert or a Likert type scale question in which you provide a statement and respondents choose how they agree with that statement. You can add an additional statement by clicking right here. You can also add additional ratings by clicking right here. If you would like to make the question required, toggle that option on. Question number 7, and the last type of question allowed on a Microsoft form, is a Net Promoter question. Honestly, this is probably not one that those of you in education will use very often, but it does allow you to ask how likely you are to recommend some service or some product. Under the Add New button, in addition to having the ability to add additional questions, you also have the ability to add an additional section. A section can be very handy for a number of reasons, and one of those is called branching. You can see that I have now added multiple sections. I've added a breakfast section, a lunch section, and a dinner section. How can that be useful? Over under the three dots, there's an option called branching. If I select branching, I can choose where respondents go based on the answer they select. So back on question number 1, when I ask which meal you will be providing, I can choose the option that those selecting breakfast will go to the breakfast section, and those who respond lunch will go to the lunch section, and those who respond dinner will go to the dinner section. So now, instead of having those people go on to a particular question, I can have them go to a section based on the answer they select. Branching only works for multiple choice questions, and it does require some thought about how you want the form to proceed and flow as people answer questions. If you later decide that you do not want branching, make sure that you hit the three dots within the branching menu and reset that option, and then return back to the main form. Also, remember to delete any sections that went along with the branching that you were attempting to create. To remove a section that you have created as part of a branching operation that you no longer want, you will locate that section, hit the three dots, select Remove Section, and then you will remove both the section and the questions. Obviously, you are only going to complete this operation if you no longer want branching as part of your form. Make sure you click Yes once you have reached this screen. Once you have a form that you believe you are ready to send out to respondents, it is very important that you preview that form before actually sending to anyone. To do so, I'm going to click the preview button at the top of the screen. This is important for simple forms, but it's even more important for forms that involve branching, so that you know that when you select a specific option, you're taken to the part of the form that you expect respondents to be taken to. So I can scroll down through this form and I can look at this and I can see, for example, the question number 6 does not have a title, it just says question. So I would want to go back and fix that by clicking the back button. And once I've done that, I can go down and I can edit the question simply by clicking on the question and then changing the title. Once I have done that, I can go back to preview again and I can actually answer the questions this time. And I can see that the responses are going to turn out the way I want, and it will actually generate an example response that I can play around with and see if it's the way that I expect people to view and submit answers to this form. So I have just gone through and randomly clicked things just to make sure that it's going to show up, but then I am going to click submit. And if I go back to my form now, I can see that I have one response that is ready to be viewed. So I've previewed the form, I know that it's ready to be sent out, and I have an example response that I can work with. We'll cover responses shortly. However, right now, if you want to click on responses, you will probably want to remove the example that you submitted to see that the form was constructed correctly. Click the three dots and then hit delete all responses. Again, we will cover responses more in just a few moments. For now, you have a great form that you are ready to share, and you are going to click the share button, and you have multiple ways to share this form. You can copy and paste the link, and you can submit that in an email, on a website, a number of different options for how you would like to get that link to people. You have a QR code. It will automatically generate a QR code, which you can download, have others scan, and it will be taken, and they will be taken directly to the form. You can embed the form in a website. You can also click the email button and it will copy the form to your email, and you will be able to send a link to respondents directly from there. Once you have responses to the form you have created and distributed, you will notice that there is a number to the right of responses that indicates how many responses you have. Right now, this form has 2 responses. If I click on the responses tab, I'm able to see a very quick summary of the responses. right in front of me just simply by scrolling down the screen. I can also click on View Results, and I can see the individual results, and I can select the responder who has completed those. Obviously, in this case, both of those were me for demonstration purposes. Once I have finished looking at the individual responses, I can click back to go back and see a summary of the responses. At the top of the form, there are three dots. If you click those three dots, you have the ability to create a summary link. If I click Create Summary Link, it gives me the ability to copy the aggregate results and share those with someone who I may not have shared the form with. So I can copy that information and I can send that to someone in an email and they can see a quick summary of the results without having access to edit the form. The other option is to open an Excel. You can convert all of the information to an Excel spreadsheet. You will be asked where you would like to download this to. I'm going to save this in the downloads just for right now, but you would obviously want to change that location if you want it saved somewhere else. And once that file has downloaded, you are going to open that file and it will open an Excel spreadsheet and provide you with all of the column titles and the respondent's information. So if you would like to further analyze the data, you are able to do so using all the tools that are available in Excel. Hopefully at this point you understand forms and you might want to use it to create a quiz for your students. In order to do that, you would click on New Quiz as opposed to New Form. I've already created a sample quiz that I'm going to show you. The three types of questions that I'm going to explore are multiple choice, short answer, and ranking. The other types of questions, things like a Likert scale and the star rating, really aren't applicable towards the quiz. So you can see that I have a quiz here with three types of questions. Question number one is a multiple choice question. However, it has two correct answers. So I would want to toggle on the option that allows multiple answers, and I can do that right here. I would also want to toggle on the option to make this question required because I want students to answer this question. I can select the correct answers by moving my mouse to the right of the possible options and selecting the check mark. That allows for a correct answer to be scored. And I can also provide feedback for correct and incorrect answers by moving my mouse to the same location to the right of each option and selecting the bubble. And I can then type in a message for respondents to see who select that answer. I can assign a point value right here, and I can manually enter that point value. If I click the three dots, I can choose to shuffle the options. If it were an option related to math, I could turn on the math option so that an equation or a mathematical response could be allowed. Question number two, you can see is a math question. It's a short answer question, and I could provide more space if I needed to by turning on the long answer, but I don't necessarily need that for this question. I can make it required, and I can hit the three dots, and I could turn on math there as well. I can also add an answer that will be scored correctly. So if I enter this, it will assign the correct point value to anyone who answers that. But be aware if someone typed in 25 manually as opposed to the number, it would not accept that as a possible answer. So I can assign a point value for this question as well. In order to avoid the problem of having someone type in 25 manually by typing that out as opposed to putting the number in, you can click the three dots, select restrictions, and you can restrict it to a number. So now respondents can only answer in number format and only the answer 25 as keyed in on the screen will be counted correct. Question number three asks you to place items in the correct order. And when you click on this question to edit, you will notice that you are instructed to set the options in the correct order. So I would need to move these around so that they are in the correct order, and then they will be randomized when students are given this quiz. Again, I can make the question required by turning on the required option, and I can add a point value for this quiz question as well. Again, I can hit the three dots. If I need to add a subtitle to provide instructions for this particular question, I can do that. Those are the three primary types of questions. You can explore those options. Within those options, there are lots of things that you can do. If I add a new question, I can see there are options for a rating, a date, the Likert, and the Net Promoter Score. Those are all valid options for the quiz, but they are no different on the quiz than they are on the form itself. If you would like to add a section, you can do so and include branching on a quiz just as you do on a form. So you can have respondents go to certain parts of the quiz based on how they answer. Again, as with a form, I would strongly encourage you to preview this before you submit this to students for them to respond. Once you have previewed the quiz and you are sure that it looks the way that you want it to, again, getting that to students is as simple as hitting the share button, and you can have students access this through a QR code. If you have an LMS like Canvas, you can copy this and you can distribute the form through Canvas to the students. You could also embed it in a website if you use your own personal website. You could also email to the students if you have a group set up for a particular class. Lots of ways that you can distribute this quiz to students. Once you have responses from students, you can view those responses by clicking the Response tab. Just like in Forms, if you would like to further analyze that data, you can download it in Excel and complete any operation that is needed there. If any manual grading is required, you will complete the manual grading and you can click Post Scores, and students will be able to see their score. Hopefully, all of that provides you with a brief overview of Microsoft Forms and allows you to gather data from colleagues or create quizzes for students. If you have any questions, please let me know.